able to do it. I haven't talked to her yet, but it's kind of hard to say, well, you get a $400 stipend, but you have to pay $200 to join the club. So I don't know. It's up to the board to decide whether or not to continue that or not.
Well, we had a general discussion of this at the finance committee, and I think the general feeling of the committee was they ought to get both the stipend and the dues. And both of these jobs are huge. Yeah. So anyway, but that's not a decision for today. Let's see. Let me go down my list here.
And the requirements or the resume of a treasurer is one of those things. It can be any one of those things, not all of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, right.
Yes.
Any of those, yeah.
We don't want to make it impossible to fill.
Yeah, there's only one person in the United States who would have all that. So, and then, just another, just kind of small discussion point. You know, we discussed having Sean or the treasurer do a budget bit periodically, just a few minutes at a club meeting, so members will get more acquainted with how the club finances work. So we be 5 minutes or less periodically, not every meeting. So, and we thought that the next one ought to be on scholarships, how those are financed. So,
and then the next topic would be membership dues to KI, and I'll put something together for another meeting about that.
Yeah, that's good. So that was it for the club. And then there's a few other things for the foundation portion of the finance committee. So those will wait till we get to the foundation portion of this meeting. So that's the end of this report.
Somehow muted myself. Sorry. How about you, Anna?
Yeah, sure. So the finance committee and the membership committee have been discussing the issue of when new members get their blue badge. And this grew out of a conversation that Karen had had with a new member who was very active, hadn't technically met all of the requirements, but was feeling a little bad because she hadn't received a blue badge. So that's where this all came from. The finance committee asked the membership committee to examine the issue. And there are currently in our bylaws 5 different requirements for new members to earn their new badges. What the membership committee recommends, however, is that the board approve that for about 6 months, we pare that down to 3 requirements, which would be watching our orientation video on the website, joining one committee and participating, and then working on one service project or event. And the other 2 that we want to have the board's blessing that we not require, and honestly, we haven't really been required anyway, is the requirement that new members attend a board meeting and then also serve as a greeter. So part of the bigger context of this too was the question of, well, you know, these are worthwhile things to have new members do, but do we really want to make the receipt of a blue badge? Do we really need a 2 badge system in the first place? You know, does this really make sense? It seems like a little bit of extra work. It creates 2 different kind of classes of members, if you will. And so the recommendation from the membership committee is that we just go down to the 3 requirements for the next 6 months, and then we reassess. Any questions? Karen, did I get everything? Matt and Karen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. Would that be something we wouldn't need to vote on that now, would we? Or would we?
Well, I think we would like a board vote on saying it's fine for us to officially deviate from the
3 things.
Yeah. So
well, and your recommendation is that this be only for 6 months, so it would need to be reviewed in 6 months.
Yeah.
Maybe in 5 months. Yeah. So
I think the end of the year makes sense, right? You know, before a new year. It's so end of September or mid-September, you know, the September meeting, we can talk about it again. I mean, there were just good points on different sides of, you know, one of our members who's fairly new said, you know, she liked how when she was wearing the big button, people came up to her and said, oh, you're a fairly new member. Welcome to the club, right? So, you know, and then there were arguments about how important it is for our members to understand how the functioning of the club, and that's maybe why it's good to have them attend a board meeting, et cetera. So anyway, we're just recommending that for now we only require the 3, and then we revisit at the end of the year.
Is that a
So are
motion
these-
maybe?
Are these requirements in the bylaws, or where are they?
They are
Then it
5.
does need a board action.
Yeah.
So is that a motion then that we do the 3/5 for the remainder of the Kiwanis year, evaluate and reassess at the beginning of next year?
Correct.
Okay, is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
I think I saw
Somebody else
Karen
seconded
there.
it.
And then is there other questions or concerns that come up related to that? Go ahead, Kurt.
I have one just, and it's not really a concern, but it just, one of the reasons behind having people be the greeter is that they tend to meet everybody that way, where you typically don't meet them otherwise. Now, a lot of the people that we have, or a lot of the members don't go to the meetings anyway. We see maybe 35 people on a regular basis, of which 30 are pretty much set, and the other 5 randomly change. So we're only getting what, maybe 40% of the club to show up at the meetings anyway. I realize that other people, because of schedule and stuff, aren't there, but they are out at the service projects and stuff. So it's a reasonable to say that may not be that important, but it does serve a useful function to have people be the greeter because they meet the people. But again, that's 40% of the club, but they also tend to be the more active 40% of the club that show up at the lunch meetings.
KT.
Could we just make that be a suggestion that somebody do it? That, you know, they can do it if they want, and then that way they meet people. I know some people can't get there at 12 o'clock, so it's kind of hard for them to do that, but maybe just say that they can if they would like to, and encourage it, but not make it be a requirement.
I think that was, oh, sorry, Karen. We'll wait for you.
I'm done.
Yeah, I remember when I did it. I did it I went to the board meeting and everything, but I didn't think anybody really cared to be greeted. You know, they were talking to everybody else, they were going in, they were paying. And it's not a normal activity we have. It would be like an add-on for a new person. So somehow encouraging people to meet others. We could say you got to sit at a different table every meeting for 6 months. That's kind of a quip.
That was kind of my thought too, is that these are, I think, important things, but those are conversations that can happen, and maybe there's other ways that we can do them. The other thought I have, and it goes back to the previous conversation about dues, is about the reception position. And, you know, I'll just say what has been said before, that we're appreciative and reliant on Kurt, you know, and it would be good. We really, really do need to have other people who can help with that, and having somebody, you know, in that role would expose them to that job, and potentially have somebody that can provide some relief there. So whenever I say that, I just need to acknowledge and thank Kurt for his service, because I also think that should be, if there's a stipend for any position, that should be that one too.
Agree.
That was probably a more
Yeah.
anyways, on a weekly basis. So anyway.
Yeah, one of the things, Bob Peck used to sit back there almost every meeting. His health doesn't allow him to do that now, but he used to sit back there every meeting. Excuse me, I have to turn off this. Okay. He would sit back there. Our income from the Kiwanis raffle at least doubled when Bob was back there, because he would harass people unmercifully every time. And so that's one of the other useful functions. I don't have time to do that when I'm, you know, when I'm checking everyone in, but he would unmercifully harass people in a good way. Sorry. So I find it useful to have somebody back there. They don't necessarily have to stand at the entryway, but a lot of times that's a good way to also encourage other participation from like the raffle, which is a, you know, direct payment to the club type of thing.
Okay. So it sounds like it's one of the three things they could do. Is that correct?
Well, no, I think it's actually, I like KT's proposal is that we just encourage people to do that
Okay.
Yeah.
as part of their
Okay.
normal,
I gotcha.
you know, orientation type of thing, is that, hey, maybe you come and be a greeter one time. There's people who don't have time, you know, who don't come very regularly to the meetings just because of their schedules, and I understand that. And I don't want it to hold up getting somebody's blue badge over it, but it is something that we should try to get all new members to do at some time in their thing.
I think it's a great suggestion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
So
take
keep-
it back. Yeah, we'll take it back to the membership committee. Sorry, Matt.
You okay?
Mhm.
Any other questions or concerns before we vote on that? Okay, all in favor of the three do the three things, and we'll evaluate at the end of the year. Raise your hand, and we're good to go there. All right, Jonathan, you've got probably some things to say. Take a
I
lesson
do
from
and have some foundation things, but I'll be real quick. I just wanted to let folks know that I've been updating the Kiwanis website with archive material and our bylaws. Also, I'm working with Dan and Anna on getting a new member page set up that still needs a little bit of work on it. But I put a lot of time into the website, and I'll send it around to everybody to remind them. The question I had for the board was about the roster, and I've sent it out a couple times just as a PDF. I really don't personally feel comfortable having member contact information on the website, although I recognize that that's challenging for people to not have it on the website. It's not secured in any way, so I guess I feel like if I was to put up a list of members on the website, it would be taken advantage of somehow. And so I guess I just wanted to say that I thought about doing that, and I decided I didn't want to make a decision on it. So I did want to put that forward. But the other thing is that there's a ton of archive material. So I will send around all the Google Drive links to the board. There are photographs and dues, invoices, and it's just crazy. Lots and lots of information. So, and it's good. It's all good stuff. And I think we're getting it more or less centralized, which is entirely my goal, which is to get it off the secretary USB and some random USB Halverson gave me, and the laptop that's in the back of my garage because it doesn't work anymore, but has data on it and all this stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to update the board on that. And that was it. Any thoughts about a roster? Oh, sorry, Sean.
I know that we used to be able to get into Portal Buzz by logging in, and only members could
Right.
and get to the directories that way. But also Jan was sending a directory to the membership when it got updated on a regular basis. I'm not sure why she did that, but you could just avoid putting it on the website and send out an updated version of it just to the members.
Yeah.
Would that be?
Yeah, I've done that a couple times, and I think that's probably the best solution, as long as people check their emails.
And maybe even a note about it being confidential
Yeah.
to membership only or something like that.
Mhm.
We wouldn't want anybody to use it as a sales list or something.
I
Okay.
think that's in
Yeah.
the bylaws, actually, even. I think that might be in the bylaws somewhere
Oh,
about
is it?
not using, yeah.
Glad you're a lawyer.
Yeah, for some of us, getting it by email is easier than dealing with a web page.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, right, right, if it can be printed out. And and when I've sent it around by email, I've said if you want a printed version, I'm happy to provide that, so. Okay, thanks, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Open floor. Does anyone have some items for the good of the club? Oh, go ahead, Anna.
I was just wondering if any board members have any updates on recruiting any additional new members. We're still not getting new members.
I've
So,
got my three. I'm going to try to give a call here today or tomorrow. I think I already told you my three.
yep, you did.
I'm going to try them, see if they're available for Monday.
Okay, that's okay. Just wanted to ask.
Yeah, I know. We got to keep that. I think I appreciate keeping that in the forefront. So we're all kind of thinking about it.
Me too, I scanned my Facebook page looking for people who I think would be good fits, and I've not yet found somebody, so I'll keep looking.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I do have one floor item too. Get your input on this. I wanted to kind of make this a club activity, but it's a little bit of, I have a little bit of self-interest on it. We have senior exit interviews coming up. I think it's on May 19th. What that requires is just a very simple training. And then for about an hour and a half or so, you interview students and they tell you about their experience. And there's like a rubric you go by, and well, I need 22 more people. And I thought that would be a great service activity for the club. And I'm wondering if what you all think about me kind of plugging that, even though it kind of fulfills both my roles. I thought it's a great service activity, but it also selfishly would be great for me in my role as principal. What are your thoughts?
Nice idea.
Yeah, I thought I'd put it in the newsletter and just say what it is. And, we want to get uh, you want to get to know your students better. I always love listening to our kids. Always makes me optimistic. So I'm hoping I can get 22 of them to do it. So I'll put it in the newsletter and I'll make a little plug for it on Monday if you don't mind.
So do you write up a little summary of what they said? That-
You actually you fill out a rubric. So like they tell you like
Oh.
do they meet or exceed, and really it's low stakes because there's very few kids that aren't going to pass it because it's a really it's really meant to
Oh.
have them go through the activity and have them reflect on their experience in high school.
Oh,
And they tell you a lot about where they're going and their journey getting there. I've always been, after I talk to each one of the kids that's in it, I always am very closer to them at graduation. I just like, wow, I never knew that about this kid. And I think a lot of you are going to be really, not everybody. Sometimes you'll be like, wow, that kid had an attitude, but most of the times it's the other way around. You go, wow, that kid really surprised me. I took a look at them and said, oh boy, what am I getting? And then you get what's underneath there. Sometimes it's really positive.
be sure to put the dates in.
Yeah, I will. I think it's May 19 and it would be after, let's see, I don't think we have a meeting that day, but I would like it to be, I think it's somewhere in the afternoon. So I'll get more specifics by Monday. So good. I don't know if Capital has that need too. I'll call over there and see if they're doing the same thing. So I will try to, so we can support both schools. Okay. Anything else? All righty. Next meeting, May 22nd. So we'll close the club meeting and open up the foundation. We have want to look through the agenda real quickly and see, is there anything in there you want to add or concerned about? If not, go ahead. I'll
Wait,
entertain a motion.
excuse me, isn't it May 29? Didn't we agree it's the last Thursday of the month? Be sure to, which is it?
Oh,
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Well,
oh, no, you're right, I apologize, May 29th is the next board.
okay,
When is Memorial Day?
26th.
Okay, that's right. Thank you. Got it.
so that's the executive committee. Yeah, because see, the finance committee meets the week before, so these
Right,
things
thank
pile
you.
up on each other. Yeah.
I'll make sure
Okay.
that's corrected in the notes.
All right. Well, good. That's why we go through the agenda. Okay. So we'll amend that. And with that amendment, anyone want to make a motion for that? Agenda?
I'll move.
Fair enough.
Okay, same two there. All right. And all those in favor, raise your hand. And let's see, the minutes, anything come up for you on the minutes? Okay, I think we're all right on that. And how about the finance report for the foundation?
Okay, well, first of all, I recommend the board approve the financial reports for the foundation. And again, Sean, could you provide a summary?
Two significant things I did was our checking account balance was getting down to about $6,000 and not knowing what the gardeners are doing and purchasing with debit cards. I transferred the money that was budgeted to be transferred for the $15,000 in scholarships from our scholarship fund, and then 41,000 from the Leighton Johnson fund that was approved budget to move that 41,000 over to pay for some of the foundation projects that are allowed by his will. So run that cash so that it's in our checking account.
Oh, Your
The
question, Sean?
yeah,
On the monthly reports, I noticed that in the financial statements, and it's counted as income in the P&L, but should we count that as revenue from a KI perspective? Because it's already budgeted. I didn't know how to handle that, because they asked for financial, how much the foundation income was in the previous month in the monthly reports. And I wasn't sure, I didn't include it this time because it felt like it had already been budgeted and it didn't make sense to, but I wondered if you had a thought about that. I can also check with you about it next time I run the report.
let me think about that.
Okay.
I don't know how the financials would balance without using it that way, but you're right. We've already recognized it as income when we got it, but we transferred it right away into that other
Right.
savings or investment account.
Transfer, it's a transfer, so it's not really revenue, new revenue, I guess.
Let me think about that.
Okay, we can circle back.
One thing that came up during March was whenever anybody donates with our donate button on our website to the foundation, I get an email that the batch was settled. So they automatically settle a batch at midnight every night. And if there was a donation, I get a email the next morning saying that somebody donated. So I got a few of those for $1 all at once, $1 each. And I'm like, so I asked Jonathan if he was testing the donate button or was some testing going on that I wasn't aware of, and he wasn't doing it. I went out and got into our merchant services statement, which you can look at. I can look at it every day, but anyway, I started looking at that, and I started seeing a whole bunch of $1 transactions that were declining. And so I reached out to Gravity, who's our processor, and I said, "What are these?" And if they fail, I don't get a batch receipt. So I wasn't seeing the ones that were failing. And they explained to me that this was card testing being done by someone in, where did I say? Abu Dhabi. Somewhere that have a list of credit card numbers, I guess, and expiration dates. And I don't know how they get the CVS code or whatever it is, but they're testing cards to see if they go through. And if they go through, then they use it to go buy something. And we got $21 that went through, 21 different transactions of $1. And you can't go the other way. So the only reason why they're using us is to see if the card works. And it still makes me a little nervous, but I had Jonathan turn off those the donate button that goes to the foundation and the pay your dues button that goes to the club for right now, because I just wanted to get, stop everything and get a handle on this. If they realize that our donate button doesn't work anymore, maybe they'll give it up and move on to somebody else. But anyway, I just wanted you to all know about that. The company said that we could put some other filters on it. I'm not sure what those are, but I told her that as soon as we decided to turn those buttons back on, which we will, that I will work with the company to put filters on our account for that, but I'm not sure what that will do anyway. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, but there were 177 that declined the card.
Wow.
Once I got into the statement, I saw there was a whole lot more than 21 tries. And so anyway, I just put the $21 into miscellaneous, and if somebody complains that they got $1 charge on their card from Olympia Kiwanis Club, I guess we can give it back, but and it'd probably go through the card processor for that if somebody if somebody complained and had a dispute with their credit card company.
Hmm.
We did get about about $800 in donations to the foundation, specifically saying garden, and I think it said ground cover or some kind of ground cover that Derek described to us last month when we approved up to $3,000 that he and the garden committee could spend on this, some kind of paper. I think it keeps the weeds
Yeah.
down or something.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw they're installing. It takes a bit of work to do, but it saves a lot of weeding, and so the plants grow better.
So we had kind of told Derek, don't do a fundraiser. It competes with the fundraiser we're getting ready to do, but he may have put out the word before we asked him not to. So that money came in. It's just going to go into garden revenue. That's where I put it. And I don't think it was last month. I think I just got it in April. What was I going to say about that? I mean, it's still being used for the garden because all of our revenue is used for all of our projects, and the garden is 40,000. So that's our biggest expense, is the garden expense. The other thing, sometimes the garden committee has done this in the past, and whatever they raise, they want to spend. And I'm discouraging that. Come with a budget in July, know what you want. If there was an emergency request, that's different. But if you know what you need for next year, let's put it in a budget request and get it approved. So we're not doing these one-off fundraisers for one thing at the garden. I think all of our fundraising should go to benefit all of our projects in the foundation. And I think Derek got that message, but I'm not sure the rest of you feel that way. But like I said, if there was an emergency request that they needed some kind of equipment that broke, or and it was a major purchase of some sort, then I don't discourage them from asking about that. But the other thing is frustrating is the debit card receipts that I'm not getting, Nicole didn't get. There's still 7 outstanding for March purchases. I haven't gotten to April yet, but there's 15 transactions out there with a debit card, and I'm writing a desk manual for treasurer, and I'll run this by the board when I get it written up. But I think the treasurer should only have to ask once in writing, I need these receipts, and then the treasurer's done with it. If the treasurer documents that she requested those receipts, they weren't received, it just goes in the packet, and the financial review, whoever does it later, months down the road, will see that there was a request. That's why they're missing, and they're just not there. That way the treasurer isn't responsible or, in trouble for not getting those receipts. But, you know, I have no control over them giving me a piece of paper. I gave them a couple of ways to do it. Just mail them to the PO box. I go to the mailbox and I can pick them up there, or hand them to me at lunch, or scan them at home and send them to me by email. I don't care how they come, but they're not doing a very good job. And I knew this was going to happen. I said that at the very beginning when they asked for debit cards. I'm like, oh, here we go again. So anyway, I'm done ranting about that.
Good.
Well, I have a question. Have we made a decision on where the receipts, where the proceeds from the plant sale will go? Will those go into the club general budget, or are those dedicated to the garden? I can't remember.
We budgeted $5,000 in revenue for the plant sale, and it's in our foundation. So there's a $5,000
So it goes to the foundation.
expectation. Pardon?
It goes to the foundation in general.
Yeah, because the garden is funded by the foundation, so it wouldn't
Yeah,
make
yeah, I
sense
just
to give money
Wondering
to the
how
club.
that came out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it all stays in the foundation.
Okay,
Nope,
a
that's all.
few more things from the finance committee. We've covered most of them. Derek presented a garden update and said that Jess Olson, who is the new food bank employee, is doing a great job. And he said most seasonal purchasing is completed and that receipts are being compiled. And then apparently there was a gap between when she started and when Jess Mackenzie left, and so he's working with the food bank on how those finances ought to work. Derek recommends, and this would take board action, that the club or the foundation, either the club or the foundation, sell the big black dump trailer because it's not being used, and it would bring in somewhere around 3,000. And he's not sure whether the trailer belongs to the club or the foundation, and he's going to look for the title. So, but that would take an action of the board.
We approved this a long time ago. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
why it's
Oh,
come around full circle again. He and Dennis Pulsifer, and actually Dennis Pulsifer was on doing a whole bunch of contacts with trailer people in the area. And he found a place, I think it's in Shelton. When you take the exit to Shelton, on the right side, there's a trailer place there that would put it on consignment. I think, and this was over a year ago. The problem with that was that he couldn't find the title. Well, it's not that hard to get a lost title replaced.
it's
So
simple, yeah.
Dennis thought we were still working on getting the title, and now it's come up again. But I think if we go back, we will see where the board voted to sell that trailer because it's not being used.
Yeah, okay, I'll let him know it was an action taken some time ago.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and then at our next finance committee meeting, we are going to invite Bob Lean to come to talk to us about insurance, especially for the people who use their own personal vehicles to tow trailers full of firewood. So just that's FYI.
Yeah, we have liability insurance, and I think Bob can explain it better than I can.
Yeah,
But it's a paid per member, so it's included in our dues. And it's like
Yeah,
$4.50 per member or something like that. It's not a lot.
yeah, they just wanted to be sure those who are using their trailers, towing trailers with personal vehicles on the highways and roads are properly insured by the club. By the
I think
foundation.
that the insurance to fix someone's car would follow the car insurance, not Kiwanis insurance. It wouldn't be our liability if they hit
Well, we'll find
something.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll find
if they
out.
hit something with their car, it would be their car insurance that paid for whatever it is. Now, they may not think that, but
Well, we'll find out. I'll let you know after we get a report. That's the end of the,
Do we need a motion to approve the foundation finances?
I'll move.
but Thank you.
It was moved and Kathy seconded. We approved the finances, and all those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Jonathan, you've got a few things there.
I had a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
So Derek Valley mentioned there was some conversations now about Kiwanis and the payment to the food bank. I thought we made a motion, last motion last week as to how much we paid for the first quarter 2025. Pretty sure we did. So I'm not sure why Derek is still working on that amount.
Oh,
We made a specific motion.
there's a problem with your sound.
Okay. Plugging in. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Oh, much better.
Yes.
Okay, so you have the up close version. So you mentioned in your report that Derek Valley was still working on a dollar amount for the food bank based upon the gap in Jessica's work this year. But I thought at the last Kiwanis board meeting, we approved a specific dollar amount that was going to be remitted to the food bank.
We did, Steve, and I mailed that
Oh,
check.
oh, okay.
It was
Right.
$38.75, so instead of 4,500.
Okay,
Oh, okay,
just
great.
wanted to check on
Sorry.
that.
thanks.
Thank you.
Check. Thank you. Okay, Jonathan.
So, been working with the Events and Fundraising Committee. Thanks for everybody's help on looking over the communication draft that what I'd like to do. So we'll send an email out to members and to past Caring for Kids donors. I'd like to do it on Tuesday, Matt, because I think it's something we should mention on Monday. And Matt's the signatory on the letter, so I think it'd be good on Monday just to say, here's a heads up, and this is going out. So this will be the first round sort of the fundraising campaign. And that committee, the Events and Fundraising Committee, is meeting tomorrow, Sarah Beth, tomorrow. I don't know if you can make it or not, but I just want to make sure you know. And we'll go over the plan one more time, but that's kind of where we're at with that one. And then the plan is to follow up with folks via mail and then probably do another email communication if we don't hear from them. So that's kind of the plan for now.
Are you going to make a big pitch on it, Jonathan, or do
I can do it, sure.
or do you
yeah.
want me to do it? How do we
No,
want to do that?
well, I can do it. I'll do it.
Great. Well, you know the most, and I think we'll really have to really push our members to try
Okay.
to exceed the number of people that we solicited last year. You know, like I had 10 people. I might say, well, then I'm going to try to find 15 this year because your responses are probably aren't going to be as 100 as close. So you have to really expand that circle as much as we can. I'm sorry, Karen, I may have interrupted you there.
No, I just have a question. Have we settled on a name for the campaign?
Yes, in the last draft, and I'll make sure you see that, Karen. I took your recommendation of moving it of using the Caring for Kids as the brand
Okay.
for the campaign. I think you were right that it is good to be consistent. I don't really love the name Caring for Kids because I think we do more than just that, but that's kind of fits into the Kiwanis, brand better. So I think you're right that being consistent in the efforts is a good idea. So I took your advice. Yes. I took all of your advice. And I took all of Anna's advice. Because I know it's good for me. Yeah, so and Karen, we'll meet tomorrow and we can review the letter one more time.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention was I had a conversation with Don Leaf last week about daffodils. So Don was talking to the fellow who provided poinsettias, the
Degodi?
Lodi family?
Degodi.
The Godey family. That wasn't quite right. He was talking to somebody else. But anyway, who they are able to, this farm is able to provide daffodils, and he was thinking about it in terms of doing some fundraising to replace the poinsettia sales. Don Leaf said he had been talking to Jim Hutchinson, who thought it was a really good idea. Derek Valley, of course, is involved in it. And Don and I were just kind of tossing ideas around about how it could work. So the way we would do it would be pretty similar to poinsettia sales in that we have pre-sales, and then we order that amount from the distributor and then distribute them to members. You get them from the distributor in 25-pound bags, which is pretty good number of daffodil bulbs, I would think. And then you can distribute them any way you want. So there's a lot of details and as far as like what this might look like based on poinsettia sales. And I've been looking at the order forms and trying to kind of understand the poinsettia sale process a little bit and seeing if this would fit into it. But the urgency about it is because if we're going to do it, the plant sale is a great time to do it and to get people involved in that. So I just wanted to mention that that's kind of in the works. If there are any outlying concerns, just kind of on the surface before we dig into it, there's a lot of logistics that need to be worked out. But I think we can do that. It sounds like I said, it sounds like Jim Hutchinson's really interested in being involved, and he did a lot of the work on the poinsettias. I think you did too, Karen, didn't you? Or did you?
I sold a lot of them and I
Sold a lot of them.
drove hundreds of miles delivering them.
You have that kind of expertise. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. I like the idea of doing something that you can plant and comes back every year. And as a reminder, it seems like it fits with what we're doing, and the workload seems doable. So I'm kind of excited about it. And I love that Dawn's really engaged with it too. So anyway, initial thoughts? Has anyone else heard about this? No. You have, Karen.
I talked to Dawn, yeah.
You talked, oh, good. Then
My only thought was, would we want to add any other kind of bulbs?
Oh, my response to him was no, let's keep it simple.
Okay.
No, I don't want to deal with we've got 25 orange ones and 17. Barely be able to pull this together as it is. And then the only other thing on my list was about the plant sale. And we'll talk about this again also tomorrow at the events and fundraising, but we're coming up on it. We need to start promoting it and getting it out there so we get folks attending. We've got multiple things happening. We've got the plant sale itself. We'll have the daffodil pre-sale, it sounds like, and also the membership event that's happening. Anna, can you remind me what the membership component is to the plant sale?
Yeah, we are going to have people there at a table to encourage people to learn more about Kiwanis and potentially join. So we already have volunteers lined up, and there'll be 2 shifts, one at 10 to 12, the other 12 to 2.
Do you have all the people you need for that?
I think so.
Okay. And we'll need to recruit some more volunteers to help with the plant sale too. And I've got the sign-up sheets that Karen helped me put together, and we'll push those again tomorrow at Monday's meeting as well. That's it.
Great. Any open floor items? Yes, Sean.
I have one. I was talking to Jan Britt mostly about the policies and procedures that are in writing already, because they need to be updated, and Jonathan and I are kind of working on those. But she brought up the fact that we have, we added Wayne Gruen several months ago to the Distinguished Member Award, I guess, and he is so he would be named, one of the scholarships would be named after him, and we have 13 people on that list currently that are rotated with scholarship, being named after a scholarship. She gave me Bob Van Shorel, Les Eldridge, Gene Forrester, Hal Wolf, Doug DeForest, Dave Kirk, Tern Garner, George Eisentrout, and Ken Mitchell. She gave me all of those names that maybe we should consider adding them to this distinguished member list. We also had a previous board member that said, why do we tie these names to the scholarships? It makes it so cumbersome to deal with. So I wouldn't say give it up altogether, but is it something we want to continue to do, is name these scholarships after these distinguished members and tie the scholarship committee to it? Or do we want to just, there's some criteria involved. I don't have it in front of me at the moment. This same board member asked, well, did these people all give a big, donation to the scholarship fund or something? How did they get recognized this way? I mean, Karen, even your husband that passed, why not him? I mean, are we gonna just continue to add people that have passed to or is there some other significance we should tie to this? And I don't want a decision today, but I want you to think about it. And maybe we can talk more next month about how to go forward with this. And like I said earlier, before we started, that there's going to be some elder members that aren't going to be happy if we change it, but and I don't want to do away with it completely, but anyway,
Not
that's
to
all.
mention those were all men, and there's a dominance of men in this list, which is really troublesome to me for this.
Well, it's because none of us women have died yet. That's
Well,
why.
We will.
Wait, I have to.
Doesn't mean you shouldn't be honored.
I have to interrupt because Maria just passed away, you guys, and her daughter's right here on the call.
Oh, yes.
It's okay.
So we have to be a little bit more,
Thank you.
yes.
It's okay.
You're right.
My dad and I have actually talked about this issue that Sean's brought up previously, because he knows it's an issue, and we've chatted about this already. And we both said the same thing Sean just said, that maybe some of the people who've been, or family members who've been a part of Kiwanis might just feel, their feelings might get hurt if they find out that we're not doing that anymore. But on the flip side, I totally recognize that it's kind of a growing issue. And I agree with Jonathan that it's kind of disheartening that there's no women as well.
Well, there can be now,
Yeah. but
unfortunately.
Can we just call it distinguished? I mean, do we have to put a name to it?
Do we what?
Have to put a name to it? I mean, can't we just call it distinguished Kiwanian scholarships or some, I don't know.
Make it, generalize it, you mean, and honor kind of all of them. Yeah. And because it gives us if we did, then it would give us an opportunity to talk about the work that Kiwanis does rather than the individuals, which I think is appropriate.
We could do that, and then honor on the Kiwanis website, like the link dedicated to in memoriam of those, right? Whose names we've used to dedicate Kiwanis scholarships. So there's somewhere where they're still memorialized.
Yeah. Kind of like the Seahawks Ring of Honor or something like that. We've had a rich history, and it's a way to memorialize it, but perhaps we can find a way to streamline it so people can recognize who they're named after. And I like the fact of having a consciousness of, we haven't named any women there, and there are, and you're right, there not be as many, but there are some, so we can start to really look at both those things. So maybe next month, should we take that on, Sean, and try to solidify that and everyone kind of think about it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else? Yeah, Anna.
I just have a really quick point of clarification, and I may have just gotten mixed up here, but looking back at our minutes for the foundation for March 27th, it says the confirmed plant sale funds will be used for the garden.
That's
And I
not
thought-
true.
Okay, so then that's just a correction. So we need to go back to the minutes and correct that. Jonathan, can you weigh in on this? It's
Can
just,
I talk first about that?
yes, of course.
So we budgeted $5,000 in income for the foundation for the plant sale. We budgeted 40,000 to spend on the garden. That 5,000 is just helping that $40,000 expenditures. It's not, they don't get an extra $5,000 and get to spend an extra $5,000. That's what I was trying to separate the two, is that we budgeted for that money, that income way back when, and it was Mackenzie's idea because we had made 3,000 on it last year, and her number was 5,000. So it benefits the whole foundation projects, but if you look at the biggest number, that's the garden, and it does really benefit that, but it's not a direct, here's the money, go ahead and spend it. It's not one of those things, if I'm explaining that correctly.
That's
And then I was talking about in the past, the garden committee has decided to buy something and to raise the money to pay for it in the middle of the year and never budgeted. And those are the things I want them to do during the budget requests instead of, like I said, unless there's an emergency. Does that make sense? Is that making sense? I did read that and I forgot about it. I wanted to clarify that it's not going to the garden committee to go spend somewhere. It's already budgeted. So,
As long as we all
Okay.
are on the same page. I just was thinking, wait a second, because when you said earlier, it goes to the foundation, I'm like, but wait a second, the notes said it goes to the garden. So anyway, I mean, minor point, but
okay.
jump
Good
in there,
correct.
Kurt.
If I could interject here, when you're looking at where money goes, unless that organization or that specific thing is making more money than it's spending, anything that they want to generate, we can say supports the garden. Okay, because until the garden pulls in $40,000, okay, every dime that they make goes to support the garden. But that doesn't mean it doesn't go to the general revenue, because every dollar that they don't spend, we send it to wherever, somewhere else. But you just have to think of it as there's a big pot of money out there and it's filling up a bunch of little pots of money. And the more that those little pots of money fill up their own pot, is the less that is money that can then go to support other operations. We also have a scholarships. We get money from scholarships. That doesn't pay for the scholarships. The amount that we get from not the foundation, but the investment account, yeah, doesn't pay for all of the scholarships. Some of that comes from the foundation as well.
No,
We
it
could say
doesn't, not at
anything-
this time.
Not this time, but
Not the last few years, not since COVID shut down Harbor Days. We started drawing out the money,
Right.
all of it out of the investment. So
Okay.
lately, yeah.
So, but generally the answer is, and given how much the garden gets from the foundation, anything that the garden does, we can claim supports the garden. But that doesn't mean that it does directly, if you understand what's happening there. It's a matter of budgeting. And like what Sean said is they're budgeted for 5,000. If they make 7,000, it doesn't mean they have $2,000 to then go spend. And what happened previously, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, when they had they were at the time, because of the Harbor Days and COVID and everything else, and we were running out of cash as a club. It was almost going bankrupt and the foundation was hemorrhaging funds. And we said, we need to look at other ways of how we get money to do this. And one of them was, we'll do a plant sale, because they have the extra plants anyway. So they did that. They were collected, I don't know, $1,800, $1,900, something like that, and then donated it to the food bank without any authorization to do that.
That's right.
Okay.
I
It's
remember
not,
that.
it was already money that they're trying to offset what the garden is doing. And while it's altruistic and stuff, as one of the people I know in another organization is, if there's no margin, there's no mission. Okay. Which means if we don't have funds to support everything, we don't have funds to do anything. And so I would apply that here. If there's no margin, there's no mission. Nobody independently fundraises for their event, period. They fundraise to support Kiwanis, and Kiwanis supports the garden. But right now, the garden, we give so much to the garden on any given year, it doesn't really matter what the fundraising is, it's going to support the garden.
I think Anna's point is that the minutes don't exactly make that point clear. So I think
Right.
she's quite right. They do need to be adjusted.
and I just didn't catch that earlier, so I'm glad we're having this
Yeah,
discussion.
no,
Thank you.
I appreciate it too.
Hey, everybody. Anything else?
But,
Kathy?
when is the marathon?
May 18th.
It's coming up.
It sure is. gotta get some folks involved.
Yeah. And I guess I should have brought club meeting. I'll try to get more specific soon after the celebration for club. I'm looking at possibly one of our final days in June where we have half days. That'd be a day we could either do something at school or off campus and we wouldn't have kids miss school. So I'll try to get more details, but it gives us a little bit of time to put it together. So as you recall, it's a 100-year anniversary of the Key Club. We thought we'd do a celebration, and several of those teams have hit over 100 hours already. That's been the real positive. The negative is I think our communication system, for whatever reason, is leaving out our Kiwanians. So it's not been as good of a joint thing as I wanted it to be, but the kids are doing a lot of work and they're having a friendly competition, at least at Olympia High, and there's 6 teams. So I'd say some mixed success, but we'll be able to celebrate both clubs. My thought is to look at June, the last couple of days of school, where we have a half day and we could do something either at one of the schools or somewhere nearby. More info to come.
I'm glad that the students are doing the work, kind of regardless of the other side of it. It's a great project.
Yeah, nice kids.
Yeah.
Okay, well, everyone, looks like our next meeting is May 29th. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you May 20, or we'll see you on Monday, hopefully. And I'll work to see if I can get a guest or not. Maybe you all, if you get one, bring them along. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
everybody.